Evening all, welcome to Kicking Dust. So, what we're doing today is, yes, that's a Flaylock, but no, it doesn't appear in this video. We're actually playing with tanks. Basically going to run them a Seeker to begin with. Not tanked for a while, so I thought probably best to start somewhere cheap. This Seeker fit is pretty good. I mean, 4K shield, 4K shield, yeah, joking there somewhere. And with blueprints and such, I think the cost of this comes out at about 180k per tank, which isn't too far off a prototype suit. They're not brilliant, but I tell you what, they're not bad either. So, definitely, if you fancy just giving tanking a go, where it really doesn't matter if you lose for your forwarding match, then this is the fit for you. Check other videos for this fit. So basically all we're going to do in this one is just really talk about tanks. I think the role they're kind of starting to be moved into, and I think sort of the anti-tank discussion as well. From, I guess, initial discussion and perception, my god, tanks are shit now. Now, again, post in the comments if you disagree with that, because I played probably 5, 6, maybe more, 7 or 8 matches with tanks, and I lost 3 or 4 around. And it, again, it feels like we're going up against the same 100 people all the time now. It really does feel that. And I think maybe that's it. Everybody is just so good at killing tanks now that, a Seeker like this just obviously can't compete. Even, my brilliantly fit Madruga, which is kind of in the second part of this video, still gets wiped out by, I think, prototype AVs. So, I don't know. I mean, it's a tricky one. For me, in my opinion, tanks just feel utterly, I don't know, I guess awful. But the problem is that you come across a tank once in a while, which is just ridiculously OP, like, a whole squad of people trying to hit it, nothing can kill it, and that just feels the other way. So it just feels like it's almost balanced completely wrong, where you've just got to have the best fit in the world with the most attentive player. You can't really use tanks casually because people just go at them and they're too easy to kill. What I would probably do with tanks, just to make it a bit more fun, is probably give them more hit points, or make it so you can disable parts of the tank or something. Just make it so that there's a bit more fun in flying one, in running one, because it was pretty painful, I must admit. Running this tank all night was just painful. Even a good armor fit Madruga, that again, I know it's a good fix. It's what supposedly the kind of big boy tankers are using, and it was still a load of bollocks. It just felt awful. So I don't know, maybe it's me. I do have a bit of a grumble about that, because again, it does feel that you never get your kind of casual battles anymore. Again, I don't know why. It just feels that pretty much every round we're going against a full team of this and a full team of that, and I guess that's where the game is. But it just feels at the moment that nobody, I mean, even when I go kind of run solo, I run solo to do kind of filming and stuff, because I don't want to kind of burden the squad with it. So I do it on my own, and again, I get put into a side where there's like just 2 full squads of whoever, and it's usually the same people. It's usually, I could almost write on a piece of paper pretty much, I guess, the 50 to 100 names that I just seem to come across all the time. This is probably time zone related, but I also have a fear this could be the fact that not as many people are playing anymore, and it's only really the hardcorers that are still kind of here, and that's why I think we keep meeting each other, because it's only really us fighting each other now. I hope that's not it, but it certainly feels that way. I've spoken with a few people as well around the game to say, look, don't you find that you kind of always going, there's always somebody that you have a bit of a kind of an issue playing against, and isn't it funny how you always come up against them? And lo and behold, everybody's kind of saying, yeah, it is a bit weird. God knows what it is. It could just be me being absolutely insane and talking absolute bibble, but there is something definitely going on where I always seem to come across the same players. Anyway, in terms of tanking, I think that causes me problems, because again, I generally only ever go up against protos. Again, could be a sign of the times, could be just the way it is. But when you're, this is my alt character, so this is literally, I think, a 3 million skill point character with pretty much only tanks and Flaylock. And I get stomped utterly. So, generally I find, unless I'm using CEO and I'm using the fit that I enjoy, Scout, suit, Flaylock sort of stuff, then I just get absolutely wiped out. And I think it's the same, because the irony being, is that, you know, while I continue to preach about trying other guns and that, people don't, and it's hilarious when you see the same faces running the same suit, the same fit. And again, I know I'm guilty of this. Don't get me wrong, I know I'm guilty of this, but I think it's because pretty much the game has got to that level where if you don't run a suit you're familiar with, you're going to get stomped and then hate playing. And this is why it's funny, because you always come up against the Caldari Logi AR boys. You always come up against the Minmatar Assault Speed boys with, you know, SMG or whatever it may be, and the Amar, you know, assault suit with the scrambler rifles. You know, and the same players run the same fit over and over. And again, I'm not complaining about that, but it does feel that, again, you can pretty much call a match from the get-go now, which depresses the shit out of me, because it shouldn't be that way. You should have absolutely no idea what's going to happen, but you know that if you get, you know, X Corp, you know that that's it, that's what they're going to run. They're going to run a tight group, they're going to do that. Okay, it's this Corp, okay, it's Y Corp, so therefore they're going to do this, and they're going to bring tanks. And, you know, it is getting a bit, well, it's getting a bit boring. I think it's because nobody is actually switching around. This is the thing with Eve that I think I really do want to kind of make clear, is that people change ships in Eve constantly because there is always a new, better ship or fit. In this game, in Dust, I think they put too much emphasis on the skills to get to the drop suits, meaning that nobody is able to change suits, because you pretty much pay your entire skill point collection to get into the suit. So why the fuck should I change? And that's a shame. That really is, because I think at the end of the day, if you've skilled, I mean, I've skilled into Minmatar Scout, I can't use any other suit. So, you know, I can't use any other suit. I could use, well, no, don't get me wrong, I could use Militia, but, you know, that's like using, you know, a basic cruiser, which in Eve is a possibility because they are actually quite good, whereas in Dust, they're shit. So this is the problem. This is almost the fundamental issue. And I think, you know, Militia tanks also have the same thing here. In theory, the Drake in Eve is just a Tech 1, almost technically a Militia Tech 1 basic, you know, run-of-the-mill cruiser, battle cruiser. And I'm talking ages ago when the Drake was probably better than it is now, at least. But I think back then it certainly had a lot more, you know, people would use it and they would be able to be competitive with it and so on. In this, I mean, again, I see a lot of people really raging about being proto-stomped, and, you know, and it is true. I think they need to probably do something about it. Maybe just make it so that you can only enter a match with the suit level that you're using. That sounds awful, but maybe that's what it's needed, because again, I always run prototype, and, you know, pretty much I don't see the point of running an advanced suit when I can run a prototype suit. I can afford it. I rarely lose it. Whereas if I constantly had to go into a prototype battle where everybody's using prototypes, but then again, that comes inherently with problems, because nobody would join it basically unless you've got a Caldari Logi. So many issues, and I think it's a shame in a way. But you know, I think at the moment it does feel that there's very little variety, or even attempt to build variety into this game. So in terms of tanks, this poor tank is about to die. Get ready for it. And again, this is kind of what I'm on about. It's a pretty good Madruga, I must admit, but again, I can't really control it with the mouse and keyboard, so that's kind of a shame. And I think secondly, just, you know, when you see what hits you, it's just, you know, wow, you know, prototype AVs and such, and it just becomes a, you know, what's the word? It just feels that pretty much everybody in the game has got their fits, and that's it. That this is almost the game done now, and I think it's a shame. And I know that you know, there's a depth of quality in having many different types of fits and having many different kinds of stuff. But at the moment, I would say it's feeling a bit kind of limited, because once you get to proto, why do anything else? And that is a shame. And I just feel, you know, it'd be nice to fight sort of different people. Maybe people are telling me to change my my settings, go and fight on Asian servers, things like that, go and fight on different servers. Why the hell would I need to do that? I mean, that just sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But I think currently the problem is you're just coming across the same characters, the same faces every time. Anyway, you know, shame about my tanks. I've got to admit, I mean, you know, post in the comments if you think that tanking is actually worthwhile, if you're pretty good at it. Tell us your secret. Maybe just say to us if you feel that, I mean, AV to me did feel very overpowered, but, you know, without it, tanks would be ridiculous. Don't forget that. So, you know, we need to have this kind of middle ground where I think, you know, tanks can be good, but you know, AV can also be good as well. But again, it's all moot point when you're just going up against the same people in the same squads, you know, running the same game, same. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.